Hello and welcome everyone. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to join this Ideate Software 15 at 15 app review. This session is recorded so you or your colleagues can always view it later. Hello, I'm Greg Benson-Shettle, one of the many certified Autodesk instructors here at Graitec. I've been providing consultancy with Graitec for well over a decade. Now, I know you're keen to be getting with the main event. We don't have much time in these short reviews, so let's move on swiftly. Before I get into the presentation, I just would like to take this opportunity to talk about who we are as a company, if you're not overly familiar with Ideate. As a company, Ideate is so much more than just its software. Ideate are known for their extensive online help systems, including product documentation, workflow topics, and educational videos. We are supporting and updating our software for at least the last 4 releases of Revit. So currently we're looking at 2022 up to 2025. Our solutions across the Revit versions are as similar as possible, and where possible, we enhance a feature for a specific version of Revit that allows us to take advantage of some of the new benefits that particular version provides. We're now supporting our software solutions in 7 languages across the globe, and we've even recently added Korean. And we have customers in almost every geographic region. We have a fantastic technical team that's eager to help you and have recently joined the worldwide Graitec group of companies. Our main goal is to simplify your Revit data challenges by providing a set of easy-to-use tools with an environment that you're already familiar with whenever possible. And one such tool is Ideate Explorer. Now, this particular webinar is all about the Warnings tool, and this is a particular feature in our Ideate Explorer. It shows you every instance of every element in your Revit building. It also allows you to easily understand your model and make powerful edits by swapping components, updating information, auditing elements, and reviewing the Revit warnings. Unlike the built-in warnings manager, our solution allows you to be interactive with the model while reviewing the model, making the reviews and changes and the whole process much easier and more efficient. You have the ability to dissect your model with different ways at just a click of a button, which just aren't easy or even possible with the Revit project browser, such as showing elements by level or by phase, room space or work set. Just a short set of examples there. We also provide the ability to create Ideate dynamic filters that enable you to be able to save a particular search criteria and share it externally so that you can utilize it across different projects, which can be really useful and an ongoing benefit. Ideate Explorer is a true model project browser. It shows you every instance of every element being used in your Revit building model. Unlike the Revit project browser that displays every element in the project, whether it's being used or not, it allows you to easily understand your model and make powerful edits by swapping components, updating information, auditing elements, and reviewing the Revit warnings. You can have the ability to dissect your Revit model in ways that just aren't possible in the project browser itself. It also allows you to select elements throughout your project using query-based searches on certain parameters, which is a huge benefit for BIM managers and users alike to be able to investigate your models. We've also introduced the ability to create Ideate dynamic filters that allow you to save, as I mentioned, and share those across the entire organization and utilize it on other projects. We're very excited about this particular edition, as it really can help the entire team. Right, so those are some overviews about how the Ideate Explorer and the warnings tools actually appear. Now, I think it's time for an actual demo. Let's move on over to Revit. So here we are in Revit. You may have recognized this building from one of my earlier videos in this particular 15 series. So let's take a look at what we actually see when you have the Ideate software installed. So up on the ribbon, we will have a dedicated tab, the Ideate software tab, and in here we can open up various tools that we have available. Now, of course, in this one, we want to look at warnings. Now, the warnings are available from the Explorer, the Ideate Explorer. So let's find the Ideate Explorer here. Open this up. Okay. So this is showing just the elements that are in this particular project. We can have a look here. We have display, so we could do just in the active view. So if I change that to just the active view, visible elements, 284. This is quite a small project compared to many files that you'd be working with, of course, but hopefully you'll get the general idea as we go through this. So if I change it to the entire project, we can see we have 719. Now, of course, what we're looking at is the ability to highlight things. So in here, we can make this browser bigger if we wish, and in multiple directions. And if you wanted to show me floors, you can click on here, and it's going to highlight floors throughout the entire project or the particular view that you have open at any particular time. Now we can notice up here, you'll notice we've got, these are the warning symbols, these little dynamite bombs, these are the warning symbols. And there's two here, and they mean just slightly different things. Now, first of all, it says that we have got high ranked warnings in the warnings tab. So therefore, we'd come over to the warning tab here to actually see exactly what is going on. Now, the other little dynamite is to show that the Revit warnings is beyond the acceptable threshold of 5 warnings. Now, what this is that we all know how many Revit warnings we get. We get a lot of warnings, and some, frankly, can be healthily ignored. But of course, there are some that definitely you need to pay attention to. And it's possible for up in the settings up here to actually go in and you can set limits as to how many you actually want to see on a per file size. Okay, so you can go in there and you can completely customize this for your own ends. And also it means that from one category of family elements to another, it could be that there are certain categories that are way more important to you than other people. So depending upon your discipline, you may want to highlight more tools than we've actually showing at the moment in this particular model. If you were to take a look at the Autodesk Revit pages and see the number of different warning types that there are, there's like 950 or so different types of warnings available. Now, whether or not you want to see all of those warnings, well, probably not, but you probably want to cipher through those warnings and you can make a choice. So in the Ideate Explorer setup tools, you can actually select those yourselves. We have provided you with some defaults that you can use. Now let's take a look at just a couple of these warnings. We don't have much time, but hopefully we can give you a flavour here for what this is actually going to do for you. So we've got a colour coding system that we've employed. So red means it's really important. We should pay attention to it. Yellow is obviously a lesser degree. Now green is still a warning colour. So, but again, they're of less value. Okay, now we have here, let's expand this, and it's highlighted that we've got some walls that are overlapping. Now, if I click on the whole bunch, then it's going to highlight multiple floors, and we're not really going to know what's going on. So let's be a little bit more specific. So here, if we click on these two elements here, it's showing that there's two elements that are highlighting or that are overlapping. Okay, and if we click on just one, so that's showing us that floor inside, and this is the outside ground. So you can be very specific and very quickly determine which is the which floor is which. Okay, now what we could do, of course, is if I select both of these elements, I could always use our good old hide feature. Yeah, so we could say temporary hide and isolate the selected elements, so then we can see where the floor issues are. So there's a floor issue, it's fairly obvious, and even if I select it in the model itself, we can see that it's being highlighted here. So this is interactive. Now if I just click off here, if we go to the Manage tab, obviously we've got on the inquiry panel, we've got the Revit warnings. Okay, now they have got a lot better, in fairness, they've got a lot better to where they were before, and we can see that we've got highlighted walls here, and I can click on these, and it is now actually highlighting these. Now, they've probably taken a lead from us, but in older versions of Revit, so obviously with projects you may be using some of the older versions of Revit, and in some of the older versions of Revit you don't get this identification. Okay, but you have got a limited amount, and also there's no idea about which ones to really pay attention to, and which ones are just, well, sort of mandatory notes as opposed to something you need to pay attention to. So let's see how well this works. So if I select this one and I go edit boundary, let's just bring this around. Now, yeah, okay, there's a clear problem here. I'm just going to slide this in, snap it up to that face, or perhaps I'll use the Align tool. Let's use the Align tool. That'll make more sense, won't it? Let's use the Align tool. And we'll highlight that face, align that to there. That will probably solve that particular issue. So quickly pop in here. Let's align that to that edge and do the green tick. So instantly we can see that this is updated and those overlaps have been resolved. However, there's still some other areas where there's a problem by the looks of it. Now I'll need to go back and release my view and try that again. So as you can see, we can interactively work with the warnings. We can categorize them in such a way that when we are working through these, we can determine which ones we should be paying attention to and which ones we should not. Now, when you're working with this, with much larger models, it can be quite tricky to see or find elements. Yes, we can use the Revit tools, but we've included some handy sectioning tools inside of our Explorer tool as well. So let's have a look at perhaps this element here. We've got an insert conflict on that join wall. Now, watch, look at this. We've got a little button up here. This is going to use the box tool, which if you don't know about it, it's a fantastic tool. It's really useful. It's a feature of Revit, but we've actually incorporated it into the interface to make it really easy to be able to isolate those areas for investigation so that you can determine whether or not you need to actually pay any attention to this. Okay, now, suppose this was not important. Suppose actually it's a particular design feature that you want to include. Look at this. With a right click, you could actually say, you know what? This is actually a very low warning. Or you could even say not ranked. In other words, ignore it. I know what's going on here. It's as per the design for a particular feature or function that I'm looking for, and I could even set it to be not ranked. So you could work through all of these in a very logical, sensible, straightforward order so that you can clear all of those warnings. And it's important to do this because these warnings are there for a reason. There's a problem. It can make your files unstable. It could even cause your file to become corrupted. And of course, when you start doing scheduling of information, some of the highlighted areas of errors, for example, could be counts. If you have duplicate elements in the same place, those will be highlighted here as well. And it allows you to efficiently find all of those issues. And because of the very interactive nature of the Ideate Explorer, you'll be able to work through these in a logical sequence, saving you a great deal of time. So as these are going to be highlighted, and as we work through them, they will disappear. So that's a real quick overview of some of the tools that we have in here in the time that we have available today. Well, I hope that quick tour has highlighted some of the features that we have in the Explorer. And please, I'd encourage you to pop over to our website or speak to your account manager, drop them a line and say, please, can I have a free 14-day trial of the Ideate plugins? And we'll be more than happy to arrange that for you. If you'd like a more in-depth demonstration as well, again, we'll be very happy to supply that. This was intended as just a very quick overview to give you some awareness of the tools that you have available to you should you choose. Okay, so obviously find us online at ideatesoftware.com, and also you can find us on the Graitec website as well for the plugins. Find us over on obviously all of the social channels. We have got hundreds of videos available on YouTube, and if you'd like to drop me a line, feel free to email me at greg.benson-shettle@graitec.com, and also you could connect with me on LinkedIn as well. Okay, let's see if we have some time for any questions. So I'll be ending the recording here, but let's go on over to the live session where I'll join you for question time. Hi there, everyone. Hope you found that useful. It's a good insight and overview to exactly what we're looking at. And there's we have a live chat, and there's also a Q&A area. So if you do have any questions, I'll be here for the next few minutes, and I'll be very happy to help any questions where I can. If you have any questions, use the chat. Otherwise, this is the end of this particular webinar and this broadcast. I'll be closing it soon, so please feel free to leave if you've got to rush on to your next project. It's a Friday. And how can we change the order level of the warnings? Okay, so just add one question in there. So yes, so in the actual setup area that I demonstrated. So up in the corner, you've got the settings. Now in the settings, you can go into those settings and you can do it on the fly, as I demonstrated. You can right click on anything and you can set it on the fly, or you can go into the settings area where you can be very specific about what you consider to be important, because depending on your particular industry, it could be that there are certain features that are sort of a higher ranked element for your design work than perhaps something else. So being able to rank those is absolutely really essential and very useful. So yeah, you can do that from within inside of the settings menu. We can show you, we've got I can get you up on our website and on our YouTube channel. We've got slightly more in-depth information about that. And if you have it installed, please make good use of the help features. The help features are extensive. Okay. And also, how can we export the warnings to a schedule? That's a good question. Yeah, obviously it's handy to be able to export those out so that you can then report those. And yes, you can do that in addition. Let me just have a quick look. I will Yes, you can save it as a default setting. So that's one of the, obviously the clear, powerful things. You can set it up so it becomes a company standard. Yeah, so that all of your users are going to be using that as well. So absolutely, you can do that. So then, of course, you can then deploy that across multiple users. So bear with me a moment. I'm just, I didn't have my Revit actually powered up, so I'm just powering that up. And what is next coming up? Okay, cool. Ideate. Yes, Ideate is compatible with 2025. It's compatible with 2025 and the previous 4 versions. Okay. We've just recently updated the Ideate package. Excuse me. The Ideate package. So we try to update as obviously if we get any reported bugs, then obviously we try to fix those as quickly as possible. But we do have a cycle of when we get the next versions. And of course, if there are features or if you have any suggestions, user suggestions, we certainly welcome ideas of any areas where you would like to see additional tools or features added that would be helpful to you. Okay, let me just go to Explorer. Do you actually have it installed yet? Have you got the trial of it, or have you purchased it already there? We did a session on automation a couple of weeks ago. Actually, we did a small introductory session on automation a couple of weeks ago. Again, if you'd like to have something, you'd like to have a more in-depth demonstration, exactly to yourselves, then we'd be very happy to do that for you. Yeah, if that would be useful. Okay, bear with me a second. Yeah, so in the settings area, you specifically have a manage rules area. We're running these 15s and 15s every other week. Just as a general note. Yeah, so you've got a manage rules where you can search through categories, and so you can you can filter by categories, like, doors, pipe fittings, links, and then in any of those elements, you can then get in and you can edit the tools. So, for example, if you were doing like structural framing, you can edit cut lengths, and you could set like minimum values. If something is less than 600 millimeters, for example, what's it going to do? You could highlight that. So if you've got like small little sections of things, and simply by the fact that they are small, when you expect them to be of a certain length, then you could highlight those features. So you will find, when we go into settings, there's a drop down for settings, and you've got manage rules. You've also got manage warnings. So the manage warnings area, in there you can see a list of the warnings, and you can then set the ranking for it. Now, once you've done all of that, there is at the top of the manage warnings area, there is an export. Okay, and it exports it out as an XML file. Okay, so therefore, once you've got that, at the top of the manage warnings dialog box, not only have you got the export, there is import. So therefore, each of your users, so once you've assigned all the different ranks to all the different types of warnings, you can then export that, put it onto your server or whatever service you're going to be using, and then individual users can then import that so that that becomes your company default. You'd probably need to I don't know how many people you have in the group. If you've got a large group, then you've probably got an IT department who would then be able to deploy globally. Okay, so if your IT people have got it set up in such a way, like many features that when it comes to the setup and the control of the team's computer systems and their workstations, that would be kind of an IT function. Obviously, when you export it, it's just going to export to whichever location you specify. But then it would be a case of either having an IT department that distributes it to the PCs or you simply communicate with the rest of the team that, look, go to this location on the server to update the latest export for your Ideate Explorer. Yeah, please email me. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so please email me with any of the questions. Okay. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Goncalo. Thank you. One of the things about the Ideate tools is that the whole interface, the way we develop it, and it has been developed for many years, is that it's easy to use. Once you know where to go, the interfaces tend to be very user friendly. So customizing it makes it, and using it is fairly intuitive. But we've got lots and lots of help and lots of videos to help you with that as well. Okay. Is there Any other questions? Okay, thank you very much. Bye-bye.